2021. Thirdly, the supply chain for medicines. We all had districts, we had districts moving or traveling, district staff traveling long distances to come to Lusaka to collect medicines from medical stores. But re-engineering the supply chain, we set up hubs in the regions. There's a hub, the first one was in Choma, the second one was in Western Province in Mongo, and then we set up one in Chipata, one in Impika to cover Muchinga and Northern, another one in Mansa, another one in Lonsha to cover the Copper Belt. This collapsed the distance our staff had to move to collect medicines. It improved access to safe and efficacious medicines for our people. That was a very serious transformational move, and it really improved outcomes. Fourthly, Zambia had been battling epidemics of cholera.
You've touched on a sore point, the issue of NEMA. It was such a transformational move, and like you are saying, it changed access to health from, like you stated, is it 4% to 50%? That was a remarkable change. You've heard, I know you are still explaining, you've heard the criticism that NEMA is facing bankrupts. Others are even calling for its abolition. The private sector is frustrated because it owes them millions and millions of kwacha. As one of those pioneers of this access to universal health through NEMA, what has gone wrong? Just give us a view, because a lot of people are now frustrated with NEMA. Instead of being a solution, it's a pain to those suffering pain already.
Is the cornerstone of any agenda for universal health coverage. Now, Emmanuel, when the NEMA Act number 2 of 2018 was passed to establish NEMA, we had milestones that were set, and these milestones needed to be followed, and they were guided by actuarial assessments. Now, what has happened today is that the actuarial clock is now current, and the milestones have not been reached or have not been honored. We said to start NEMA, let's have every worker contribute 1% of their basic pay, and let the employer also contribute 1%. Now, this was the net pay. We also said, look, let's ensure that we begin with the formal sector, then the informal sector, we included the community, and there were many different milestones. But we did state that at a particular year, we needed to improve on the collections by changing from net to gross as the basis for your deductions. That has not been done despite agreement with the unions and other stakeholders. That's a mistake. Number two, the 2% that is combined, the worker and the employer, was insufficient even ab initio. However, it was good for starting, and that was supposed to be improved. There were finance reforms that were supposed to be carried out in 2022. Beyond that, there were other milestones that should have been implemented as part of the actuarial evaluation. Now, what has happened is that despite the unions, the government, and other stakeholders, in the spirit of the Tripartite Council, meeting and agreeing to adjust the subscriptions to move from net to gross. Despite these agreements, government has not moved to come up with a statutory instrument to implement the agreements in the Tripartite Council. That is gross failure of leadership. NEMA today is facing insolvency because of gross failure of leadership. And it is important that NEMA today addresses the management and policy level inaction that has besieged it. If we do not act now, yes, NEMA will be insolvent. But then, why should we allow others to play midwife to the birth of a revolutionary innovation such as NEMA, and then allow others to certify it dead? We must summon all stakeholders to the table today and agree on how we need to move to resuscitate NEMA. The private sector may have had their own challenges as they were introduced, as they were accredited, to provide NEMA services. These challenges were not insurmountable. The private sector are a critical stakeholder in provision of universal health coverage. What is important is ensuring that there are controls. So NEMA needs to look back at the initial actuals, even the latest actuals. Look, the 2022 actuarial evaluation did state that NEMA would actually be insolvent by the year 2025 if we did not act in line with certain interventions. We ignored that. The actuarial clock has hit us now, and we want to be surprised that NEMA is almost insolvent. No. We need to address issues of leadership, policy, inertia. Inaction is what is murdering NEMA today. And NEMA must not die. NEMA has saved lives. NEMA has changed the way our people manage their livelihoods, in fact, manage their resources. Because in the past, people used to spend a lot of money out of pocket to seek health services. But because of NEMA, there's been that relief. The out-of-pocket payment is gone, the premiums have gone down, and a lot of people are able to access health services, both in public and private sector.
Yeah, thank you very much. We have issues of internet from Lusaka, but I know that we will be resolving it. Oh, there is back. Maybe we had power failure. The issues of load shedding in our country remains a big crisis. Doc, before we come to your presidential aspirations in the patriotic front, I think there are two nagging issues that we may have to deal with. Let's start with the issue that saw you leave office as Minister of Health, the so-called honeybee scandal. I think it's an elephant in the room and we can't ignore it. It acts as a blur. It marred your brilliant and successful achievement and career. Just explain to us what this honeybee so-called scandal was, and from your position, and if you're seeking public office, our people are interested. What is this issue? How did it affect you? How have you resolved it? Are you guilty of the allegations? Let's speak to the matter.
Honeybee was a hoax, a big lie, a concoction of criminally minded civil servants at a certain level of authority, mafia in the trade, that is the trade of medicines, pharmaceuticals, and some criminally minded politicians. The use of lawfare to fix opponents or perceived political opponents must be frowned upon today and yesterday. There is no pharmacological evidence, pharmacovigilance evidence on the table today to support any of those wild allegations that were made to inflame the emotions of the public. The hoax was basically concocted in order to deal with a perceived political threat. And I'll say boldly today that there are people who designed that hoax, and it was targeted at bringing down a particular individual, and that's me. Yes, I led the country during the COVID outbreak, during the cholera outbreak. Yes, there are a number of things that we did in the health sector, in addition to what I explained earlier on, and the public appreciated that. There are colleagues and certain stakeholders who may not have been too pleased with it and designed that hoax. Shameful, and for me, time should come when those should be brought to book. We cannot tolerate people sacrificing science at the altar of politics just for expedience. You cannot have technocrats paid to puncture condoms and put water there and then pick cameras from rogue media and then inflame the public with allegations of leaking condoms. Those must be brought to book. I am ready to stand before any court and ensure that all this information gets public on one condition, that any information that has been classified must be declassified. We do know that there were staff at ZABS who were paid to manufacture reports. Those staff even resigned. Their resignation letters are classified. They should be declassified. And we must ensure that all criminal elements in the civil service who served during that time and who are still serving are brought to book to ensure that they are brought to account, to book, for inflaming the emotions of the public just to deal with the firm of a perceived political threat. And
I may be inclined to
closure.
I may be inclined to believe you that probably lawfare was used because at the time I think the party was going to to elections in 2021, and there were indications that the former vice president, Honorable Inonge Mutukwa winner, was not standing, and that President Edgar Lungu was searching for a running mate. Your name and other names of our senior leaders was in the basket. Probably you knew about it, probably you didn't know about it. Could this be the reason why this aggressive attack was made? First of all, we had COVID, and COVID was being addressed by presidents across the world. Only in Zambia did we see the Minister of Health to be the one giving those daily addresses and daily reports. There were occasions, very rare occasions, when the late president spoke to the country. And I personally criticized this internally and externally, that a pandemic of such magnitude should have been led by the president, but you became the face of it. Do you attribute that, and did you become a face of the COVID crisis by design? Did you steal the thunder and limelight from the president? How do you explain all this? Because shortly after that, then there was this great scandalization, great scandal of the honeybee, which even contributed to the party losing the election because it confirmed what people thought were acts of corruption in the Patriotic Front. Just speak to that.
State, as part of the preamble in response to that we must, as a people, place value on meritocracy, and performance, good performance must be appreciated and should not intimidate anybody. Credit be given to the former president. He built a team that fought the COVID pandemic. Yes, I may have been the face. Yes, I had a very strong team, and we did understand that, look, in the face of that epidemic, we needed to balance protecting lives and also ensuring the economy didn't collapse. It was delicate balancing. It involved invoking serious measures, that had to achieve that delicate balance. Yes, there are people who went to authorities that be and said, look, because the Minister of Health is addressing the country on a daily basis, is the one running the country, I think that was unreasonable. I want them to know today. There is no single address that I made to the nation that President Lungu didn't know about. As a matter of fact, he had to be briefed every day and he had to give clearance for every briefing that came out there. And those were technical briefings. I am a medical doctor. Yes, I'm a politician. I'm a medical doctor. And the president respected
Doc, just there.
And
when we saw the the address across the world, especially for major announcements, we were seeing presidents, but Zambia were seeing you. Was that an issue? Like I said, was it by design, or did President Edgar Lungu trust you to deliver the message? Wasn't it highlighted that a moment like this, probably he needed to make very regular appearances on this issue? And of course, you, the ministers of health, would then take over.
I will answer it this way. If you looked at the assessment of performance on the COVID outbreak, on a survey done on 70 countries globally, Zambia was rated first in Africa and fourth globally on those 70 countries. And it had to do with a number of strategies. Number one, leaving technical activities to technical teams does help in structuring the right response and steering the interventions in the right direction. And for me, I give credit to him. It was not a sign of weakness. It was leadership. And the vision in the health sector was his. The face of the health sector in the Patriotic Front Party may have been myself, but the person ultimately in charge was the president. And he was leading from the front and from behind. And therefore, it was not a sign of weakness that he was not addressing the nation in those technical matters. We had engagements with various stakeholders, and there were many, many stakeholders who came on board. The outcomes in the COVID outbreak, the first COVID outbreak, were very good. Morbidity was low, mortality was low, and these are numbers that can be referred to today. And therefore, the president did very well in entrusting the fight against COVID in a technical team, but he had to make bold decisions himself, and that's the reason why every day, before any address, he would be briefed, consulted, and he had to make decisions. He was not absent from the response. We closed the Nakonde border once. We imposed a curfew in Kanyama. We did a number of things that would not be done by a minister, and they would actually need presidential authority. And not at any one time were any of those decisions made without the president's authority. It was his style. And today, credit should be given to him that he put in place a strong team, and through that team he delivered effectively in the response against COVID, in the response against cholera, in the establishment of the Zambia National Public Health Institute, in the establishment of the Africa Center for Disease Control to improve public health security in Africa. And therefore, I should state that I was the face of his visionary and transformational agenda in the health sector. And if that attracted jealousy or envy amongst certain ill-minded colleagues, it's unfortunate.
Yes, and then came the praises. Then came the praises credited to you after the one of the biggest cholera outbreaks was addressed, the COVID crisis. Then the praises came to you. I think the limelight was justified. People saw your competence, your knowledge on the matters of health and the interventions, and you introduced these technical terms, like people would say about Ronald Penza, who introduced a country to macro and micro words, these big words. You also began, big words like pharmacovigilance became ordinary terms thanks to you. But you've just made a very strong allegation that the honeybee issue, I think then to attempt to destroy your big name and character, was brought in. You are making allegations that this was designed like to inflame public opinion, to destroy your career. Are you sure about these allegations? Did people set out to set you up, make allegations, use institutions to make a scandal that was not? Just speak to this, because you've made very strong allegations about this matter.
And I'll repeat, it was a hoax. This is the reason why, when the parliamentary committee sat to review the evidence on board, they made it very clear. There are no leaking condoms brought into the country. There are no expired drugs brought into the country. If you look at the pharmacological evidence that is at Zamra, there is no outrageous evidence of pharmacological misconduct. What you see in regular pharmacological findings as you deal with regulation of medicines, you will not find anything that was outside that scope. So to criminalize pharmacology, pharmacovigilance, is an assault on science. And therefore, we should avoid using the law to settle scores. We should avoid adulterating science. We owe it to our future generations to be sincere and honest. If your challenge is about meritocracy or performance of individuals, deal with it honestly. But honestly, don't adulterate science to achieve political results. And I'm saying here, I'm repeating, it was a big lie, and the people that are behind it know it themselves. They have insight, and there are some that resigned. And if, as a nation, we're honest about it, we should bring out all these facts and bring the country to closure. There was no need to inflame the public about all these false allegations just in order to fix an individual. I am a certified medical doctor, well-trained. I'm a specialist, and I am responsible as a medical practitioner. I would never bring in expired drugs. I would never bring in condoms that would leak. That's an assault on my professional integrity, and I frown upon it, and I'll repeat it. You can do anything to attack me, but don't attack my professional integrity, especially with lies. Those were lies, and I'm ready to face anyone with evidence in court.
Thank you. Thank you. And like I said, that particular matter was so hot in the country that it's one of the issues that contributed to the loss of the PF. So you can imagine if it was done from inside, that it made everyone lose. You, the late president and the party, among other issues. Doc, before I begin to open phone lines, you've chosen to pursue the presidents in the PF. Why? And why do you think we need a leader like you at the moment in the patriotic front? And just speak to that and your aspirations.
Crossroads today of both challenges and possibility. The possibility is there for us to renew as a party, to have a renewal. We need a rebirth. We therefore need to invest in tested, transformational, and credible leadership that will steer the party back on its path that the fathers that founded this party believed in. I have decided to run for presidency, not for self-accreditation, but for service delivery, and beginning with the party itself, and hopefully with the nomination of the party for the Republican presidency. The party requires a major renewal. It requires to shift trajectory. The party is engulfed in internal wrangles. These are not insurmountable. These are matters that can be resolved as a family. And I believe that what the party is lacking today is credible leadership. It's leadership that can steer the party in a transformational path. I am offering myself to lead, to renew the party, to steer the party in its rebirth. And I'm saying I'm tested. I am transformational. I'm visionary. In Bemba, Emmanuel will say, "Ichkwanka, vachimwena kumampalanya." What I did in the health sector, I'm able to do in the Patriotic Front Party. I'm able to do in other sectors of energy, agriculture, water and sanitation. I'm able to do in all other sectors. There must be recognizable evidence of performance. For one to seek leadership, there must be a track record of recognizable achievements. And that's why I am here stating that at a time of public health war, I was available for leadership. And I did lead the country under the presidency of President Edgar Chagwa Lungu in the fight against COVID and cholera. I did lead the health sector in its broad transformational and visionary agenda, setting up NIMA, building infrastructure, setting up the first ever public medical university in Leavenworth House Medical University, establishing specialist hospitals such as National Heart Hospital, the Chinsali Hospital, the Kalindawar Hospital, building basic infrastructure dotted countrywide in Limulunga, in Nalolo, building many hospitals in Sioma. I have footprints across the country, and my leadership that I am offering today in the PF party is tested, it's proven, it's transformational, and it is visionary. Lest we forget, there are many times that we were faced with many challenges, particularly in the sector I lead, and there is evidence supported by numbers that we succeeded. We reduced maternal mortality from beyond 500 to less than 100. We reduced child mortality. We addressed tuberculosis, and today Zambia is one of the few countries in the world that has attained the targets in epidemic control of TB. We've attained epidemic control of HIV/AIDS. We managed to wage war against non-communicable diseases, and we're on a path for winning. We just need consistency. All this is available evidence in the country cooperation plan with the World Health Organization. We have been through difficult times, and it's only been transformational, visionary, and tested leadership that has pushed us through. I am available to lead the rebirth of the Patriotic Front Party, the renewal, and I believe that value must be placed on transformational and visionary leadership. We must not experiment with leadership. And as a party, we need to embrace meritocracy. We need to ensure that we build teams that will be able to drive national development agenda. We are able to build teams that will lead the translation of our natural resources into wealth. Zambia is endowed with natural resources, mineral wealth, land, water resources, wildlife, human capital. What we need is a transformational and visionary mindset that will translate this into wealth and distribute it to our people. We are only 20 million, and we have no reason to be a poor nation. We can succeed if only we decide to unite, pool our intellectual capacities, build the best teams, value meritocracy, come up with strategic, path-breaking ways to ensure that we uplift our people out of poverty. Let's have people-centric strategies. Let's look at our energy sector. We have plenty of water resources. We've got many other opportunities such as solar, coal, and we can address the issue of energy to power our sustainable development. We can translate our vast land resources into wealth, improving our food security. We can feed our people and beyond, the nation. We can afford to improve beneficiation in the mine sector and ensure that Zambians benefit more from their mineral wealth, and ensure that we reinvest that money that we get from our minerals into social services for our people. There are many things that we can do. All this, I'm saying, is doable. And what I did in the health sector, I am able to replicate in other sectors. That's why the PF, Emmanuel, should have an easy choice. they should look at the basic principle of each kwanka wachimwena kumampalania. Let's not experiment with leadership.
Oh, wonderful. Before I bring you to your view of the state of the nation, your relationship, your perceived relationship with the UPND and President Hakainde Hichilema, I've seen in the comment, is even coming up already. When I think in 2023, there was a Mtomboko ceremony in Kawambwa. People saw you walk up and greet the president because it was live on TV. Then they saw you at an event with the president in Mansa, in your constituency. Then they saw you go all the way to Mazabuka, and you were seen on the same podium with the president. And sometimes those moments were spoiled by the presence of people like, Robert Chavinga, the expelled MP from the PF, who was collaborating with the UPND and President Hakainde Hichilema. Did these moments bring controversy? Were you misunderstood? To what extent are you deemed to be, are you collaborating with the UPND and President Hakainde Hichilema? I thought I could bring this up, like you've properly answered the issues of honeybee. Maybe we put this matter to bed, then we come to the state of the country and I open the phone lines.
I stated in my preamble that I am a member of Parliament of the people of Mansa Central under the Patriotic Front Party. I have never defected. Those that defected from the PF stated so. I was fired as a minister. I never defected. I was arrested. I never defected. There are people who were fired and they defected, and they were UPND. Some of them have even come back. So I am stating here that I remain Patriotic Front Party and I have never defected. I want to reiterate my belief in how we should live as a people. A member of Parliament represents the interests of the people in the area of jurisdiction. They must lobby for development. They must engage the executive. To believe that, to create a scenario that as a member of Parliament who is in the opposition, you would not engage the Minister of Infrastructure in order to lobby for a road in Matanda is not correct. To state that as a member of Parliament in the opposition, there is a war, a Berlin war between you and the President is not correct. Now, let me quickly talk about the instances that you've spoken about. Yes, there was a Mtomboko ceremony. I attend a Mtomboko ceremony every year for many years, unless I'm out of the country or any specific activity that I've been assigned to do or I'm indisposed, I attend the Mtomboko ceremony. That the head of state is coming to officiate at the Mtomboko ceremony will not stop me from going to the Mtomboko ceremony. That the head of state is present at the Mtomboko ceremony will not stop me from paying courtesy on the president when he is there. That it does not mean a defection. It is called respect for leadership. It is called courtesy. Look, if we are going to tell our future generations that the democracy we practice is that there are big gaps, there are big wars between those in the ruling party and in the opposition party, and they should never greet each other when they meet at common functions that unite, then we're going to split this country. This country should combat regionalism, tribalism, and must address matters of unity practically. And therefore, to accuse a member of Parliament of defection because they have been found in the same traditional function of the president is not appropriate. And talk of the Chabuka ceremony in my own constituency. If the Chabuka ceremony is held in Mansa Central again next year, and the president was to come to officiate, I will not run away from the people of Mansa Central because I'm avoiding the president. It is a traditional ceremony that should unite all of us. that does not amount to a defection. If you talk of the Mazabuka incident, yes, the Mazabuka incident was misunderstood totally. The Mazabuka incident was not a UPND political event for the UPND president. The Mazabuka event was a celebration of 60 years of existence of a major corporate entity in Zambia called Mazabuka Sugar Company. And they invited various stakeholders, including the head of state. And if you ever bothered to look at the program, there were very critical activities. Launching of an outgrower scheme for a significant number of citizens within Mazabuka there. That would change the lifestyle of many. That would be a benchmark for any forward-thinking citizen, where they're coming from. There were lessons shared in corporate management, how Mazabuka reached where it was. Of course, Mazabuka has changed ownership over, Mazabuka Sugar Company has changed ownership over many years. So the invitation to Mazabuka was not the invitation of a politician to a political event. That was a corporate event that brought together various stakeholders, and the president did respond to the invitation. And I belong to the National Assembly of Zambia. It is of interest, you must that you know, Emmanuel, that at Parliament there are committees that are led solely by the opposition. PAC is led by the opposition, looks at ministries. Committee on Local Government is led by the opposition. It looks at councils. Parastatal bodies is led by the opposition. It looks at parastatal bodies. And I chair that committee on parastatal bodies. And if you look at the membership of that committee, there is Honorable Kampiongo, there is Honorable Munduvile, there is Honorable Kasandwe, there is Honorable Nyemba of the opposition. As a matter of fact, for those of you who would want to say that is a UPND job, we competed for election for that position with Honorable Kampiongo twice. Well, it was an elective process under the National Assembly guidelines, and I emerged winner of that event. And if I lost, it would have been Honorable Kampiongo. So these should not be misunderstood. If I attend a corporate event and I take interest as the chairman of a parastatal, a business that is, doing well, and there are lessons to learn, that does not amount to a defection. Emmanuel, refer to the address that I made in that 30 minutes chat I had at that reception for the president. I said 60 years of existence of Mazabuka Sugar Company coincides with 60 years of Zambia's independence. It is good that we unite. And therefore, it was a good coincidence. And it was therefore important to reaffirm or to recommit ourselves to a unitary state, and to reaffirm to our commitment to unity. Nothing political. Tell me, Emmanuel, bring out a clip, show the world where I ever said I had defected. But to state that a member of parliament in the opposition will not engage with the executive is outrageously wrong. And if you tell me today that when the president was in the opposition, he never allowed it, if it was wrong, then it doesn't become right today. And I will say this again, there is no member of parliament in the opposition who will not engage the treasury that is run by the executive in order to deliver on education infrastructure, health infrastructure, roads, and anything else in their constituencies. That's the reason why I was surprised that one of my colleagues recently was criticized for issuing a simple statement that they had seen benefits or delivery on development in their constituencies using a particular line of funding from government. That was just being honest. I reiterate my position. I'm a Patriotic Front member of Parliament. I've never defected. I paid 200,000 kwacha in 2022 to compete for PF presidency, compete with me on a level ground, and let's just look at merits. Sontopo wa bomba, ngatakweta pa kusonta, usereko tubombeko. Ichkwanka, wachimanga, there are things that we can point at that we have done. If you have nothing to point at, don't waste the people's time. Let's have credible and tested leadership.
Yes, Doc.
For the
In fact,
Front Party.
Yes, Doc. In fact, your address at the Chabu ceremony in Mansa, when people were trying to criticize your presence there, in fact, you showed great bravery because you used the address to plead to the president, and you stated that whatever the circumstances, Mr. President, the issue of Kawambwa MP and Pambasha MP, Dr. Chitotela and Nixon Chilangwa, is there a way you could intervene and release them? Because this has become a sore point in the community of Luapula. You were brave to even just say that publicly, live on TV, and challenge the president on that matter. So I agree with you entirely. The state of the country, someone has just sent to me that they are watching the program, but they are very frustrated. Look, we're receiving ZESCO just 2 hours. And sadly, because it's been raining, we don't have enough batteries charged because, those that are depending on solar to charge the battery, and they don't have enough power. And this subsequently also affects communication networks because they can't be on standby forever. Most of them use solar, and they also run down, and hence we have poor network across the country. This is just a symptom of one of the challenges that this government has faced that has made Zambians look to the opposition for solution. What is your review of the state of the country?
G is an enabler. If you look at even the Sustainable Development Goals, you see a convergence of the various SDGs around energy. If you improve energy in a nation, you'll be able to power industrialization. You'll be able to power health services. You'll be able to power access to clean and safe water. You'll be able to drive mechanization in agriculture. You'll be able to move education. So energy is central to sustainable development. It is a sermon for all of us today to pool our faculties to ensure that we reinvest in energy. Emmanuel, let's be realistic. The demographics of yesteryears may have matched the investment in the energy sector, but with the demographic expansion, we did not see matching investment in energy infrastructure. So it is incumbent upon those who have their arms on the levers of state power to invest in energy infrastructure, to diversify the energy mix, and ensure that we resolve the issue of energy. It does not exonerate those of us who were in power before. We should have also looked at investing sufficiently in energy. However, it is a collective problem that we must address as a people. We must look at the various solutions that are on the table. This is a sermon to all the technical authorities. Let's look at accelerating towards a time when we can have, an energy mix that brings in solar power, coal-powered electricity, hydropower, and we have so many waterfalls in the country. And if we didn't invest yesterday, it's time now to forge strategic partnerships to invest in energy. It is an enabler. And yes, our people will be frustrated with load shedding. There are these small-scale businessmen, some are just barbershop owners. They will not be able to do their work without power. Some are welders, they'll not be able to do their work without power. Even in homes, it's difficult to study for the children living without power. So it is a collective challenge that we must address as a people. It is an emergency we must face. And I'll state here, yes, there is a huge challenge to do with energy and government, charged with the responsibility to manage the affairs of the nation, should lead transformational and visionary strategies to ensure that they lift us out of the energy crisis of today, notwithstanding the fact that we could have done better previously in investing in infrastructure for energy.
Indeed. In fact, there's a good report. The peer found a big challenge in the energy sector. They only found 1,600 megawatts installed capacity, and they ramped it up to 3,400. All the investment that was done in mini hydro from Kawambwa, Mpulungu, and to the big ones like Iteji, then the Kariba North Bank and Kafue Gorge, which was the biggest investment of about $2.1 billion. So there was that jump from 1,600 megawatts to 3,400. And at least they began to roll out solar, Bangweulu and the other one, but it was only about 94 megawatts. And it's good that probably this government has begun to expand. But I draw inspiration from literally a reprimand that Dangote, the Nigerian billionaire and investor in public sector, did yesterday to the president. He simply told him, these solar and green issues, don't listen to them. First attend to your core power. To your base load. And your base load here in Zambia, you are privileged. You have up to 200 years worth of deposits in Sinazongwe and Mamba. That's invest in it. And he said, look at the people telling us to go green and solar, which is not very reliable. They themselves are using more coal than us. And he gave an example of Germany, which is using more coal, and they're importing it from South Africa, than South Africa is using on its coal. In fact, there's a big rollback on South Africa that it should move away from coal. And, President Cyril Ramaphosa made that major announcement. And UK has just reopened a 30-year-old mine and has given out new licenses. Clearly, I think we need to also exploit Mamba collieries. Dr. Chitalu Chilufya, I'll subject you to calls from our people. I think you've explained very well on your leadership and the disposition, and you've put away, especially the so-called controversies. Let me play Dangote, and to you, our dear viewers, we are hosting Dr. Chitalu Chilufya, current MP for Mansa Central, former Minister of Health, a man of great experience, just in the health sector and across, and is a presidential aspirant in the Patriotic Front. Is among those, we have a huge number, about 13, is among those that initially paid the 9. So join the conversation and let's participate in the debate.
The green one that they're talking about, which is, solar or wind, because you have the coal is there, and you should use it to generate your power. The power, they actually said that, Your Excellency, without power, there's no growth. No growth without power anywhere. And then when you have power, you will actually unleash growth in the country. When you do that, you talk less when you go out there to campaign to tell people what you've done, because they will see what it is. They will actually feel it. It's not like education where it takes several years before you can see the benefit of it. But this one, once you give power, it gives other things, opportunities, GDP growth, and it will give a lot of disposable income, just like what you mentioned, Your Excellency, saying that, yes, today in Zambia, you are using rain-fed agriculture. So rain-fed agriculture, it means that you are going to do one season. But right now, you go to countries where they are doing 3 crops per season. So if you are going to do 3 crops, it means that something like maize, which you are good at, you'll actually flood the entire African continent with maize. So, but right now, a lot of people, they're importing, maize, African countries. And one of the things that I have to also say, Your Excellency, is that being a landlocked, for example, is actually a big opportunity for you because you are surrounded by 9 countries. So when you do well, and I'm sure the time will come when there will be a race, Your Excellency, because your colleagues that surround you, the 9 of them, when they see how well you are doing, they too, so it will be a race to see who will do best. That is how they are able to grow, the economy of Asia, because it was a race. Singapore, Malaysia.
Thank you. Those were the views of Dangote, billionaire from Nigerian billionaire, is the richest black man, but he's invested in sectors such as energy, food, and in Zambia he has Dangote cement. He probably is going to expand more. We have various scholars. We are hosting Dr. Chitalu Chilufya, former Minister of Health and Patriotic Front presidential candidate. Caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador.
Good evening.
Thank you. And good evening to Dr. Chitalu Chilufya.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, my name is Isaac Mlezuma Njovu. And I'm very... I've been following of of course, our Honorable Dr. Chilufya's submission. But mine will draw attention to the health sector because from his submission, I could, of course, relate to what the vision of the Patriotic Front manifesto of 2021 to 2026 of making a great nation. But mine is, of course, on health, on the health sector point of view. I would like to get, of course, a response from Dr. Chitalu Chilufya. Zambia, over the years, and where we are today, indeed, we have made so much progress in many aspects, but we still desire to see a great, of course, health system. In this regard, my question to him is with the happenings in Zambia and where we are today in terms of health and also on mental health, we have a future that is seemingly to be a very a concern because each and every family could have experienced, could be young ones who have over the time have not been as in presenting themselves to be an answer or a solution to a future, but induced into could be drugs and everything, but also losing the focus and in absence of impact that can come from the government to empowering them to be a product that a future we need or require given an opportunity. Sir, Dr. Chilufya, you being, of course, an health expert and also understanding the aspect of mental health in Zambia, what is your vision and what are you telling the Zambian people today in how best this can be addressed, considering that we need a productive nation, and to have a productive nation, we need to have a human capital that is well equipped mentally, physically, and health going forth. Thank you, and thank you to you, Ambassador.
Thank you very much. We are taking calls. We have Dr. Chitalu Chilufya, presidential candidate in the Patriotic Front and former Minister of Health. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. My name is Kefas Mwapem Sonda, calling you from Central Province, Kabwe. an ambassador, an advocate of industrialization and national development. Dr. Chilufya, good evening.
Yes, I can hear you. Proceed with your question or contribution.
Thank you very much. Ambassador Mwamba, I think Dr. Chilufya did very exemplary well when he was Minister of Health. And at such a time, just like you alluded to, when we had the COVID 2019, it was so difficult for the country to believe and trust this pandemic given to the nation. I think it was equal to the task. But the question to Doc tonight is, since you were acquitted of those allegations, do you in any way are thinking of, for instance, if you win the PF presidency and subsequently you become president of the Republic of Zambia, are you going to pin down those that had come up with those flimsy allegations that made you lose even the ministerial position and dented your name? What kind of a punishment are you thinking of doing to such people? Because you know them, like you are saying that we need to disclassify certain information so that it is made public. When do you think this whole issue will be made public so that the Zambian people may rub the issues that they have against you? Secondly, why is it that despite that we have all these issues, you are one of those that had paid the 200,000 kwacha, including Ambassador Mwamba, in the first place when the elections for the presidency in PF were called upon. But today, even those that were receiving your monies, we've seen them come out now that they also want the presidency. Don't you think that somehow you were sabotaged? Your money that they had received is what they have used to gain profit for them today to contest as the also PF presidential candidate. Thank you very much. I need answers to those questions.
Okay, thank you very much. We have more calls. Let's get more calls for Dr. Chitalu Chilufya. There's a caller who has, there's someone who's written on social media that what's your vision for the next 5-10 years, Dr. Chitalu Chilufya? And what will be your immediate milestones or priorities in the next 5 years? Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Hi, Chief. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Calling you from Zambia, but unknown.
And anonymous, make your contributions.
Thank you. 3 questions. Doc, are you coming for vengeance? 2, are you going to tell the people if you fail, you can hand over? 3 is, are you going to accept everybody as one and no divisions, and you will not bring politics of division and no hate speech? Yeah, that's about it.
Okay, thank you very much. Among the key questions there from a caller, anonymous, is you are willing to lead. Are you able to be led? I think that's a summary of it, and is asking whether are you coming into revenge or will you use the opportunity to unite everyone? Let me take a few more calls and then we allow Doc to answer. Thank you very much. We are hosting the former Minister of Health, Dr. Chitalu Chilufya. He was very instrumental in curbing COVID, of course, with the leadership of President Edgar Lungu, and his leadership was transformational. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Ambassador.
Good evening.
It's good to see Honorable Chitalu Chilufya on your show.
Thank you.
My name is Owen Mugemezulu.
PS. Welcome to the program. Please ask.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm calling from Lusaka. Ambassador, I just want to thank Honorable Chilufya for what he did for our health sector. I think what we saw under his leadership of the health sector was watershed development of the sector. This man deserves accolades and flowers for the wonderful job that he did. Dr. Chilufya's record is a classic example of what a country gets when you put professionals in critical sectors like health. Ambassador, I think you are a very well-traveled man, especially in our SADC countries, and I'm sure you'll be able to share with us information in terms of how many countries in SADC outside South Africa that can boast of the health infrastructure that the man that you are featuring this evening left in our country. I have heard the narrative where people are saying that what Dr. Chilufya did came at a huge cost in terms of the loans that we got as a country. But Ambassador, I think my question to those that bring this narrative is whether we would be able, whether there's a country in the third world countries, or rather in the third world, that can manage to put up such massive infrastructure using annual budgets. And I actually enjoy this discussion myself vis-a-vis what the UPND government is doing, because they are also borrowing. And every time they talk about the debt, I keep looking at my notes to see how they are using that debt. So I just want to say that Honorable Chilufya's name will be permanently etched in our history as one of our best ministers of health. And I know that there's a lot that will be said about, things just to detract on his record. But I think he needs to move with his head high, because what he did in our health sector is tremendous. So I don't have much to say, but just to thank him, and to wish him all the best in whatever he's trying to do in his life going forward. Thank you, Ambassador.
Thank you, PS. Thank you for that call, PS Mugemezulu, Owen Mugemezulu. Tremendous contribution there, and recognizing the contributions of Dr. Chitalu Chilufya. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador Mamba.
Good evening.
Good evening, Doc.
Yeah, make your contributions.
Unknown, Doc. Ambassador Mamba.
Yes, Anonymous. Make your contribution.
Yes. For me, I just want to congratulate the job he did. That is the man, everyone we saw what he did. My question is, God willing, if he goes through, is he also going to maintain the same law? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Maybe let me take the last call, then I invite Chilufya to answer. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador.
Bamunkonge, make your contributions.
Kwena Ambassador, paluvalirwa Dr. Chitalu. State ngande pwefingi pantu obumi bwabwo nali bwishiba nangu ineta banjishiba mulando wakwe bati nalipera abantu muchinshi ababa murupa rwa Iglesia abantu abareba trust kuma bishops nangu before tabarara kwate ekyo ekifulo balipera okulingana n'emibombere yabo neffe babombere twaliifi mwana nomba chimbye kyo ndera ndako limwe emisura nashena nga shapitirira fintu tafiba bwino bantu obubuteeko tetimupite na mumbali limwe omuntu ng'ali kulufyanya nangu wamwerera kyaliringa wamulanga okwebata alirufyanya okukira wamwerera olole mulanga kwati tarufyenye because ministry yabo bali babepeshe fintu fyakwebati bambina pali ino nshita fyali bange efishinga ifyashita affect na PF yonse PF government lero aba bantu balishibiko kwebati ba PF government bali fyabalala kyapalire mulamu government mwali abantu abalebomba against development ya PF government bakwebati barabambi bese mu buteeko nomba epo balisa mu buteeko olo bafira okukita ekintu kiri kyonse apana pena ninshina bena po bafuire bayima pasweka ukusoza ku bantu mwe bantu fira mwamufuire fyaso fyali fyabufi aba bantu ekyo balefu yakwisa pakifulo n'obufi bwali muri ifi nebi kira kiputulwa amabufi yonza abantu bakitashani bayishi babantu fe balirira ba PF tekweba ati babalirira ati ba PF babuhere pantu abepesha obufi abantu bashiningisha ati bufi ikirenga mulando wakweba ati abantu life baleikala like kutina pera example kuma farmers ba farmer bale kwata imifundo umayanda n'amakapito yawe yali apantanshi bamba n'okuyishitira omufundo emufundo baleshitana inonshita nomba basasanga okweba ati umufundo wa chepa so bamono okweba tawe ya government kanishari wi load shedding kwa bafiri hours abantu bamona tana ngo balera ndati ba PF tatwale echure no load shedding abantu abene balemona nomba nayi mwe ba PF shirashimbinka masho bare mibepesha nefe bare mipakasa enshita mufuire mwafu makunse ngata murefu makunse n'okulanda ekingalenga abantu bare mitunganya okweba ati limbi mure mufana n'obuteeko obuleteeka pantu murefirwa lwena bulo obuteeko olwobwale lwisha okwisa pakifulo tabwale ennyunfuire oluse napali ino instatabire ennyunfuire oluse lolesheni bakirangwa bafe bale ekyula olwo imbikwesheni ndeipushaako nga kyakweba ati lwapura united yona ishibe na ino istangani lwapura united ushe ama members of parliament murakumana ukumona ofe mwaratungurira lwapura pantu kulwapura after fye nabakirangwa bakakwa nefe pali nefe myaka fo fya mufika kulwapura fyafula ifye mpanga barefu okushisha kulwapura oko ipesa mwaperera kulingana nga mwentungurusha kulwapura then neliri akiri amenshi barando okweba ati basende amenshi bayafunye kulwapura ushe imwe kulingana nga nentungurusha ama members of parliament ba opposition bakulwapura kuli fya kufayo okona ora lwapura lubalinshe opo muperere ukorandira ko lwapura na ma development mwakwete mu previous government yo bakita abandon mwatweba ko pako bacha abantu bayishiba ero batitarumu aliko aba pamuruko munja siteko na ifya kitike pamusebo uyu musayira mutondo because mutondo bridge bali ambiro kupanga batitaru pali ino stopo ndemye banga mwayakura kukasaba nga mwafika pamansa kombe imyoto katashia kukasaba kulya bapita kulya kwati mulea kulokushare pite myoto ke kupite myoto ko kupita kwa kasuba kumpanga kulye kwa pito musebo ulyo musebo gravio tawomba wali onaika after chief mwewa chief mwanza kombe kuyafika kasaba hospital teti so chimbyocho ninga landa ko bachitaru mwali kwata ubutungurushu bwashipa ndelomba kona ngo abantu benga mistiki shalero mwali kwata fe mwinga kitakuchalo nangula chakwe bati tamusalirwe ngentungurushu nga tungirira ichironganino lero namkwata inchito ikuru yakutwala ichironganino pantanshi mwikwa tamufire mwasa kwata omutima uwachipyo pantu milimo bamishira chikuru mura ndifyo wakweva tifya chitike wonse tatoa chitire chani tafyawo eme lelo mutima ora no mwakwata afweni chilonganino nama members of parliament aba ichaba likuru apula mwababika komunshira pakweva tichilonganino chesu chawera lwapula united frafine yali pantuishi ishiyumfwa akale ali lwapula united
Thank you. They can trust ko no. So thank you very much, Wamunkonge. Let me take the last call. It's been very insistent call. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Hello, good evening. I'm Teddy Mwaba calling from Lusaka.
Teddy, make your contributions quickly.
Yeah, well, I'd like to commend Dr. Chilufya because he left visible works that we are able to see today. And we thank him and what he did for the nation. So what we are saying, we don't only just to stop where our predecessors left, because the Western world, they have about 300-year program. Those who leave office, they continue from there, and the nation population is growing. So we don't need to stack ourselves and start thinking about where we are going to go. Currently, we have seen people sleeping on the floor at UTH. This is the common thing in all these mini hospitals. So what we need to do going forward is to do mini hospitals in all the urban wards, even in rural wards, so that health coverage reaches to many areas. So thank you, Dr. Chilufya, for the great works you did. And Emmanuel Mwamba, the ambassador, thank you very much for enlightening us for what is going on in the nation. God give you grace.
Thank you very much. Let me bring Dr. Chitalu Chilufya to answer this question. Doc.
Let me begin by thanking all the callers for the kind words of encouragement and appreciation for the service to the nation. I thank PS Zulu. I thank the anonymous callers. And I thank all the other callers for the kind words of encouragement. There are issues raised by anonymous callers. Am I ready to be led? Am I going to be vengeful? Number one, I am a Christian. Vengeance is for God. And I will have no time in position of power to start revenging on anyone. The judiciary is our last bastion of hope, and politicians must not be seen to be interfering in the administration of justice. And if a justice is being administered, that should neither be misconstrued to be vengeance, as long as there is no will, there is no interference from politicians. That must be frowned upon. I am not a vengeful person, and vengeance is for God. But I shall not hesitate to point out that it was extremely unfortunate for those tenderpreneurs, for those senior civil servants and envious politicians to connive, to come up with big lies, to inflame the emotions of the public. That must not happen again. And I am hopeful that with our judiciary as the last bastion of hope, we should be able to put these matters to rest. Am I ready to be led? I believe in respecting the will of the people. And I will present myself to the people, to the structures, as an aspirant for leadership. And I will make it very clear, as I am now, that I am ready to lead, that I possess the necessary credentials, I have the necessary experience, and I have served at critical levels of governance. And I must reiterate my position that to aspire to lead, one must have recognizable track record of past performance. We cannot just become. We must have evidence of what we have done in the past, and we must also ensure that as a team, we are honest with ourselves and be able to respect each other's abilities and disabilities. And if the people decide that it should be somebody else, I shall respect the will of the people and be led by one who the people shall say shall lead. This is not to say that I am preparing to lose. I am winning the next PF election. Secondly, there was a question on the issue of unity in the country. What has been happening? Like I've said before, I believe in a unitary state, and I believe that Zambians, led by politicians, must unite the country. We must ensure that we do not focus on anything that promotes regionalism, tribalism, and any other form of discrimination. Zambia is a land where everyone should be seen as an equal. There should be equality of opportunity, there should be fairness, there should be social justice, and unqualified commitment by all of us to democratic ideals. We must invest in strong democratic institutions that assure delivery of social services to all the citizens. I will state again that we are a party of hope, and we are ready as a party to build internal consensus. What we just need is broad-based renewal, a rebirth. We need to build unity, and in order to achieve this, we need credible leadership, and that's the reason I'm offering myself for leadership. Even in the shadow of death of our founding fathers, the first two presidents, we can rise yet again if we are just united. And I want to thank again all the callers who have expressed kind words of appreciation for the work that we did together. Indeed, what is my plan for the next 5 years? First of all, sustainable development that focuses on people would be my priority. We would be focusing on ensuring that we build a team that would drive an agenda to translate Zambia's natural resources into wealth and distribute this wealth equitably. Would promote strong institutions of governance, of democracy, and ensure that there is a country where everyone has an opportunity, there is equality of opportunity and fairness. And we must also state that the priorities that shall be set out shall be solely people-centric and shall be structured in such a way as to ensure that sustainable development is assured for our people. We are a land of promise. We are 20 million people, well endowed with natural resources, with strategic transformation and visionary leadership, which I'm ready to provide. Zambia is able to reach its target of becoming a prosperous nation by the year 2030.
Thank you, Doc. Before I ask you to say your last remarks, Father Pombo from Italy is a senior leader. Will allow him to ask you whatever question. Father Mwansa Pombo from Italy. We're just about to close the program, but your remarks or questions to Dr. Chitalu Chilufya will form part of the last cause, or exactly what we feared. We could be losing power because of this load shedding. But Father, ask your question as I try to get Dr. Chitalu back.
Right. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Honorable Mama. Thank you very much for giving me this precious opportunity also to contribute. Being a patriotic, I really get I'm proud and I'm amazed. I have to thank you, first of all. I thank you for whatever you are doing. You're doing a great job. May God bless you. Now, coming to what Dr. Chilufya has elaborated, very well focused man, I think very respectable person. There has been issues around surrounding Dr. Chilufya reputation. I think he's coming out clean, and we thank God. I think we need people like him who are so cool, so sober to participate in the political affairs of our country. That said, but Dr. Chilufya, na quite a fair question. I think some callers have already mentioned this. There's been issues where people were suspecting you to collide with the ruling party. No, you are not the only one. I have to mention here, like also Honorable Brian Montreville, our minister, people were talking words, saying words. Muchibemba, Dr. Muchibemba tulanda ati apafuuka ekyushi n'enshipa ly'omuliro. Nangwe ekyushi tekifuuka apa kiri omuliro. So, Dr. Chilufya, mwe bantu bakwaleesa. Munenefu abantu baleekyula. Abantu baleekyula. Ifwe nga nineewo ensoni nshireo nfa n'okulanda pamulabaasa muri paliifyo fonderandapo pantu twalilandira pali ba Dr. ECL. Alayini twalilandire ba Dr. Chilufya. You remember me very well. We said many things negative about Dr. ECL. I didn't understand that there was a lot of propaganda behind to tarnish the reputation of this man. I never knew. I'm saying it now. I can see it. I can listen to what is happening and say, I never knew how great Dr. ECL was until what is happening now. So about Dr. Chilufya, apart from your predisposition of candidature as a former, as a future president of PF, how can you guarantee the people that tomorrow you are not going to betray them by falling eventually in alliance with Hakainde Hichilema? It's the same thing that people are asking with Honorable Mundubile. I respect all of you, myself. That's my position. I respect all the candidates, and I would love you to go and compete because competition is healthy. So I respect all of you as candidates. Nomba, nshirefo kupita mumbali na ngukufisa nshike umuto wandi mumuchanga nga ostrich. Ishimubili chonsina chishala kunsi okubati akamutweka yashi kwa mumuchanga. Inende focus pano na okumipusha wa Dr. Chilufya. What is your word to the Zambian people that tomorrow you do not betray the PF and to fall in alliance with President Hakainde Hichilema? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Doka, to allow Father Oscar Mwanza Pombo from the Vatican is a prolific contributor, but is also a senior, is a Catholic priest based in Italy and is a senior contributor to the governance of our country. What will be your last word? I think we've had a wonderful podcast where you've clarified all these issues, but you can use, for purposes of emphasis, you can use your closing remarks to answer to some of these issues. And I'm glad that despite the load shedding in Lusaka, despite the lack of power, we've had very good numbers. So thank you to our callers and thank you to all you dear viewers who, whatever the challenges they're throwing at us, and this being a Friday, you still turn up and follow the podcast. God bless you and thank you for that. Let me bring in Dr. Chitalu Chilufya to make his closing remarks and answer some of the issues that have been raised by Father Pombo.
First of all, let me appreciate, Father Oscar for his, contribution. The tone, I must confess, sounded like the Chilapilo. But Father, I want to assure you that I have a lot of respect for the church. It's a moral voice for the people, and all those charged with the responsibility to govern the people have an inescapable duty to listen to you, because you only speak on behalf of the people. You mean well, and what you say will be a guide to us. And in my view, it is my practice, I must state, that forging partnership with the church is a very huge investment in good governance, because that's the moral voice, and they speak for the people, and you mean well. And I appreciate the feedback that you are giving. Mutwafwe washifwe, twalikuwa tuwafya mufikansa fya chalo, twalikuwa ilingi abanesu mukufaya okuchinga abanabo okulabo mfya propaganda nalimo okulayila mfya nokuma nemboyo okulabo mfya propaganda. Mutwafwe mutukule bashifwe gafilafili natulondola pakubala abaya ku UPND, abaya ku FDD, abaya ku Citizens First, abaya kuma parties yambi ayapusana balia ine shaya nangukumo. Despite the adversities that I have faced in the party, I have not moved. Bashifwe, I can only assure you that the people that gave me the mandate to represent them shall never be let down. And what I stand for is what the people say. So I hear your wise counsel, and I cannot say more than, add more than what you said. All to say is that our role as politicians is to represent the views of our people, and that's exactly that I commit to represent the people honestly and to ensure that their interests come first. And that's the reason why I'm saying, Bashifwe, that as I aspire for leadership, I will be focusing on a people-centric approach and ensuring that anything that we do is service delivery oriented. Yes, many say you've been quiet, and the reason you've been quiet is because you have moved. No, watira tulubulo lwa mwipi kubangirira abepi bali bangirira ine ba Emmanuel Ndimtali ebenambireret. But on a lighter note, and all I'm saying is I am available to lead the party in the renewal process, to ensure that we build internal consensus. We need that broad-based renewal. We need a rebirth as a party, and we need to ensure that we sit and overcome whatever internal challenges we face and offer the Zambian people an alternative. As we do all this, let us remember that we have a duty to unite as a people across the political aisle and ensure that even in our politics, we do not denigrate or disintegrate the nation, but ensure that we focus on development and uplifting our people out of poverty. So I want to thank you, Emmanuel Mamba, for the opportunity to appear before this show. And I will conclude by saying that I have decided to run for PF presidency to offer that tested leadership that can transform the party and what I've done in the past should be the guiding light as to what I would do with the party and with the nomination of everyone at national level. So I am looking forward to the date when we hold this competitive program and ensure that the party succession comes to closure. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chitalu Chilufya. There you are, viewers. We had another exciting program. I brought Dr. Chitalu Chilufya here to sell himself, to allow you to know him. And I've seen a lot of comments from our viewers. They're saying Zambia and the Patriotic Front are such a reservoir of leaders. You are spoiled for choice. So it's not correct that there is no opposition or there is no leadership. And this program demonstrates that every time we bring any of the aspirants or candidates, you see leadership, you see an alternative president. And there is Dr. Chitalu Chilufya. And I'm glad that he used the opportunity to fend off these long-standing remarks. And for the media, you've never heard him especially speak about the controversial issues in the manner he has spoken. Let's exploit the opportunity and carry those views to clear the innuendos and the lawfare that was waged against him. And to our faithful viewers, we have another big show on Sunday. We are hosting a power team, Dolika and John Sangwa. They come to your show. How are they doing after John Sangwa formed the movement? How are they doing when another presidential candidate in Dolika Banda joined John Sangwa? How does a guy from finance and another one from the issues of constitutional governance, how are they gelling? How are they now looking forward to growth both in the opposition and to challenge President Hakainde Hichilema? So we have a special interview where we have a double header, as we call it, and we'll have Dolika Banda and John Sangwa in one studio, and they'll be with me to discuss the prospect of their movement and the future of their movement in the opposition and in challenging President Hakainde Hichilema. God bless you. God bless our country, and shalom, shalom.
Amitapendwa ya vintu ifisume vyoza vula kuivukisha Tana depotimo Wimbo wa temenu wa katongi Awazunga watita katongi Nagula kuivukisha kateka Kaibuku muna kapona Neseko siove pamenso Yangu ama umebaya Kiyaba maume Kiyaba maume Kateka wabantu Twakulila Lelo twakulila Shikaku konke milimo shove Eti kume moku la dolole avale Lilo mwingi
Iseko wingi mwakwete Iseso wingi mwakwete Mwaya
ukuchinja lusako kumoneko busaka mama uzituwana basiyani chakwa katuse